Welcome to the Rural Missions Podcast. We exist to enable rural churches in God's mission. So join us now as we hear stories of hope from across the UK. So welcome to the Rural Missions Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Goody, and today I am joined by two very special guests, Hannah and Nick. Hello.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
So I would try and say your titles and all of those kind of things, but I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. So, Nick, let's start with you. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So I'm Nick Cole, and it's my privilege to be the UK director of the Operation Christmas Child Shoebox Project for Samaritan's Purse. What a mouthful, but I absolutely love it and look forward to sharing with you what that really means. And Hannah.
Hi, Bob. I'm Hannah, and I work as the regional manager for Operation Christmas Child in Wales and the west of England.
Wow. So big roles, big responsibilities. That's what it sounds like anyway. So I've been here today. We've been recording some top tips videos, so you can check out our YouTube and Vimeo and look for those videos. But if you've not watched those yet, Nick, why don't we start with you? What is Operation Christmas Child? What is this thing that you're leading at the moment?
Well, it's an extraordinary opportunity to bless the church around the world and here in the UK. So this is a way to do mission here and mission there. Now, the most obvious thing, filling a shoebox with wonderful toys and practical things like notebooks and school supplies and so on. That brings joy and encouragement to children overseas. And in the hands of the local church overseas, the children's workers over there, the church leaders, get to build connection with children and invite them into the life of the church and share the gospel with them. So it's a wonderful opportunity through the joy of a shoebox to introduce children to Jesus. But it also happens here in the UK because this project's been around over 30 years. And so people remember, oh yeah, I used to pack shoeboxes at school and so on. And so there is a delight and a joy in that personal experience of selecting and packing shoeboxes that people of Christian faith, but also of no faith, want to and enjoy that. Just the generosity and the experience of doing that. So this is a way that we as local churches can reach out into our communities and invite people to do something with us that's fun, that is purposeful. And at that time, we get to invite them into the community of our local church and say, come, particularly as a program that runs just before Christmas, we're able to say, hey, come to our Christmas events. Come to our children's service, our Christingle. So this is a wonderful outreach opportunity for local churches, including many rural churches here in the UK.
Wow. So it sounds like there's not much else for you to say in this, Hannah. We seem to have the full gambit of everything OCC does. But what would you, for those that are listening, they've heard this, they've seen the shoe boxes. Does it really make a difference for people? Like, what kind of impact does Operation Christmas Child have across the church?
Okay, great question. I mean, Nick, you covered a lot there, so that was great. I think the thing is, for us working at Operation Christmas Child, is that because the project's been around for so long, lots of people are like, yeah, we know what the project is about. It's all about putting a smile on a kid's face. And of course, isn't that wonderful to bring joy to a child who wouldn't necessarily get a Christmas present? And that, that's undeniable. But for us, the most important thing is that the children get to hear the gospel. They get to hear that Jesus loves them, that he has a plan for their lives and that they can have a relationship with him. And that's the most important part of the project.
Wow. So as I said earlier on, I've just been recording some top tips videos here, and I was blown away by the statistics that we shared. what was it, 11.9 million
Yeah.
gifts given.
Absolutely. So in 2024, there were 11.9 million shoebox gifts that were distributed all across the world from 11 different countries. So that's a phenomenal amount, the most we've ever distributed in 1 year. And out of those 11.9 million children, 5.5 million children decided to come back to the church that gave them the shoebox and go on a course, a discipleship program called The Greatest Journey. And so we like to think of that as the world's largest Sunday school, where the children can come and learn about Jesus, learn about the gospel, how they can grow in the gospel, and then how they can share their faith with their friends and family. And then the most important thing to say probably today is that out of those 5.5 million children, 3.2 million children gave their hearts to Jesus last year because of receiving a shoebox with Operation Christmas Child.
Wow. So if nothing else stirs you across the rest of this podcast, to think if you spent a few moments considering praying, buying a few bits, popping them into a shoebox and sending them to Operation Christmas Child, can you imagine that as you've prayed over that box, as you've sent it on its way, that one day in the very near future, a child might open it, go on, start their discipleship journey, their journey of faith, and come to know Jesus for themselves?
Yeah. So the stats work out about 1 in 4 children who receive a shoebox give their hearts to Jesus through this project.
Wow. It makes me want to pack at least 40.
I know.
Can you imagine what our churches would be like if that kind of thing started to happen here in the UK as well? Like, obviously, we're in a very different position, and most children that we know will be having a Christmas present. They will know what it feels like to have that joy in that moment. They've got security, but actually, you're supporting children that don't have that same hope, that same kind of setting and background. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah,
You're not
sure.
sending this to all the nice kids in the States or anywhere like that?
No, so they all go to children in need all across the world.
Wow. So this sounds like a great opportunity. You're obviously continuing, you're growing. So Hannah, what part do you play in all of this?
Okay, so my role as regional manager is to support our all year round volunteers. We call them Connect volunteers, and they work in their local areas. They are experts and in their local area, and so they would reach out to churches, to community groups, to schools. They might specialise in prayer or logistics, and they go out and share the good news of Operation Christmas Child and encourage more people to pack shoe boxes. So I look after our team of volunteers in my region. We also have 7 processing centres because every single shoebox has to be checked by hand to make sure that all of the gifts are safe and suitable for the children, which sounds like a mammoth task, but it's really fun.
Do you mean to tell me that people sometimes put inappropriate things in a shoebox for a child in
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Occasionally. But most of the shoeboxes we receive are very beautiful boxes.
That's good.
Yeah, so I've got 2 processing centres in my region. We're here at the moment filming this in Coventry at our National Ministry Centre, which is our all year, we have the warehouse all year round, but we also have a series of pop-up processing centres. So churches, so there's another 6 of those across the UK. Churches will let us have their building for a week, and we can process up to about 30,000 shoeboxes in those churches for the week as well.
Wow.
So that's part of my role as well, is looking after those processing centres.
So just a small role as well. So Nick, what part do you play in all of this?
I love to be the cheerleader, supporting our regional managers and what we call project leaders. So these are the incredible men and women across our churches who it's a grand title, but it's essentially it's people who take initiative and are the champions for Operation Christmas Child in their local churches. And I want to ensure that they have the great resources to clearly explain the mission and the vision of Operation Christmas Child, to make sure, and working closely with our promotional team, our communications team, to make sure we've got fresh videos. You can't beat the screams of squeals of delight when children open shoeboxes, but also very touching images of children praying together, sharing the gospel with their family, and seeing that childlike but profound trust that children come to in the Lord Jesus. So I have a very diverse role, which also includes understanding and connecting with our international partners. So just to further inspire and encourage your listeners, Hannah was mentioning sort of teams of volunteers here in the UK. That is replicated over 100 countries at the receiving end. So each country has a national leadership team, and they are the ones who in turn select the ministry partners. That's wonderful because they know who is trustworthy amongst the leaders in their community. And we have the privilege to come alongside some of the most outstanding men and women of God around the world and say to them, please pray and let's work together to see how the Lord is opening up new areas for the gospel in your countries. So it's not the same, kids. It's each year saying, where do we want to see gospel breakthrough in your country? And that's where we go with the shoeboxes. And this is where the story gets much bigger than Operation Christmas Child, because we are partnering with multiple different denominations, also other ministries. We love it, for example, in East Europe, we're often partnering with Child Evangelism Fellowship, and their workers are initiating contact with children, maybe in the Roma community, for example, in Romania and other Eastern European countries. And the shoebox becomes mix my metaphors madly. It's like a key. It opens the door. It builds that initial goodwill, and then relationship flows through the children's workers of the churches, and then almost by accident, suddenly, the Greatest Journey class that meets for 12 weeks, the children at the end say, "Well, we want to carry on." And so they carry on. Oh, whoops, we've got a church on our hands. And then the mums and dads come in as well. And so incredibly, the reports we get back from these volunteer national leadership teams around the world is that about 1,000 churches are started or restarted each year, incidentally, through Operation Christmas Child. And this is where you just sit back and go, this is not one ministry. This is God's kingdom in play, and what a privilege just to be part of it. And so, a large church here in the UK, a small church, we can be part of this that is seeing the gospel go where it's not been heard, or to groups of people. And there's the Lord has been opening up the door across the world, drawing our attention as a ministry to children with hearing impairment, so the deaf community. So we're being challenged at how can we get our resources of the Greatest Journey intelligible to deaf children. So some of our ministry partners are learning sign language, and sort of a group that's been marginalised or the hard word we say ignored, but certainly it takes effort. But now we're at the point where, yes, let's take the effort to go to the harder to reach groups. So not just the geographically remote, but people where we as God's people around the world have perhaps not given the attention that we might have. But now is an opportunity through the shoeboxes, through these wonderful children's workers, to see that happening. And yeah, this is inspirational. This is what gets me up and gets me, in if it's the admin or a leaflet I'm checking, some minor thing, I think, well, actually this is serving that bigger purpose of God's kingdom around the world growing.
Wow. You definitely sound excited for it, Nick. So that's definitely coming through. And obviously there is the flip side of this coin as well, because it's great to be able to serve the world, to serve those in need in other countries, but actually it can have an effect right on our doorstep. So Operation Christmas Child, it's not just for large churches, it's not just for city churches that have got some capacity. What could this mean for those that are listening in our rural communities going, this sounds incredible, we'd love to be a part of this? And actually, we could start to see transformation in our own community by bringing people together to serve this. What's that look like?
Oh, that's a great question. So this project is actually perfect for small churches or rural churches. Obviously, not all rural churches are small.
Amen.
And so there are lots of opportunities to take this project into your community. So a couple of examples. So you were recording this morning in our warehouse about packing parties. Now, a packing party, you might think, what is that? Well, a packing party is when the community get together, they get all of the items to go in a shoebox and they pack the items together. Now, that is great. So we have one at our church and we invite friends, we invite family, grandparents invite their grandchildren who maybe don't normally come to church to come and take part in the packing party. And then actually we can pack more boxes together than we would if we just all did one each. And the great thing about that is that people pack shoeboxes who have faith and have no faith. Like, everybody loves packing a shoebox. So it's a really easy kind of missional tool to kind of slowly start to introduce people to Jesus. And so you can give testimonies and show videos and different things as a kind of introduction to faith, really, in the packing party. Another opportunity for rural churches is to become a church collection centre. Now, all that means, it sounds grander than it maybe is, but all it means is that you open your doors for 1 week in November. So this year, 2025, it's the 10th to the 17th of November for a few days that week, not for the whole day, just for when is appropriate for you and when you've got other stuff going on in the church. Maybe you've got a toddler group or you've got other things happening, or maybe you've got a cafe that you're opening up to people locally. Inviting people from the local community to come and drop off their shoe boxes. And whilst they're there, share with them about what's going on in your church. Share with them about your the groups that are happening. Maybe you've got an Alpha course coming up. Maybe you've got a Christmas service or something like that. And maybe say to the people when they're dropping their boxes off, shall we pray for this box? For the child that's going to receive this box. And also, while we're here, is there anything you'd like prayer for? You know, normally when you ask people that, they don't turn you down. They say, oh, thank you, yes. And they appreciate the prayer. So kind of lots of opportunities to reach out to your community through this amazing project.
And for those, like, I know a lot of the churches I engage with, there's often some people that are more housebound as well, that would love to get involved in what they're hearing, but might struggle. You also have an option for them to be able to engage virtually, don't you? Which doesn't mean they need to pack their own shoeboxes.
Yeah, well, there's two things that I think of when you say that, actually.
Look at that.
The first thing is everybody can pack a shoebox online. So it's £25, and that includes the £5 transportation cost to get the box where it needs to get to. And then we will pick and pack those items in the warehouse. And there's lots of items, good quality, new items that go into those boxes, and they get sent to the children in exactly the same way as a traditional shoebox.
And I can guarantee that as well, because I've just been down there, and there is a current box that they're packing, the dinosaur box.
Oh, yes, that was popular.
And my son would go crazy for that kind of box.
Absolutely.
So it was good quality, is good quality.
Yeah.
So I do recommend that if you're looking for an option.
It's a great option, you know. And also we're doing this year, for the first year, princess-themed boxes as well. So there you go. You've got a choice of two. Maybe your son wouldn't like that one quite as much, but maybe he would. I don't know. Yeah. And then the other thing is, for those individuals who may be more housebound, is quality craft. So, you know, lots of boxes that we see in the warehouses have really good quality items in them that people have crocheted, they've knitted, they've, you know, sewn on the sewing machine. And there's lots of different options on our website about some ideas for that as well. So, you know, we have people that every single night they're knitting different items for shoe boxes. And it's amazing by the end of the year how many items you can have by the people in your church doing that.
Yeah. And I do recommend this. This isn't just me sitting in the room with them, but actually over the years I've used this as a missional tool myself. So we used to go as a church into our local primary schools and in our local secondary schools. And this was before Operation Christmas Child would give me boxes. This was a few years ago now. And I used to go to Clark's and have to nab shoe boxes from them for free. But by the end of it, we operated as a collection centre. We went into the schools. We were doing assemblies about the difference this makes, about the Jesus that's in charge of all this. And actually, it made such an impact for our local community. And as you said, there are churches inadvertently being revived across areas in need. But actually, I think this is a great tool for areas in need in our own communities. So as you start to go, how do we do this together? Do you want to come and pack with us? Do you want to do some boxes? Using this to open the door into your local primary school. Because a lot of rural churches, you will have a primary school nearby, and it's great opportunity to be missional in your own communities while seeing a kingdom impact across the world. So I do recommend getting engaged. But I wonder, we on our podcast we always want stories of hope, and I know you're big on stories of hope. It sounds like you've got quite a few in the back catalogue. But I wonder if you both just got a story about either a child that's received this or something you've seen in a community that has been a church collection centre or something like that. I've not prepped you for this, but I can see that Nick's already whirring away. So Nick, do you have a story of hope that you could share with us, just to enthuse us? Because we know mission works, but it's great to hear actually what is God doing through this.
Yes, I had the privilege a couple of months ago to go out to Peru in Latin America to see the shoeboxes being distributed. I've been working with the ministry 10 years, so in some ways I'm used to the squeals of delight and so on. But what really touched my heart was seeing in the churches there young men and women, so the older teenagers, leading the program, welcoming the children into the church, putting on this fantastic children's event with singing, dance, drama, games. Then they shared the simple gospel presentation with the children, and the children absolutely loved all that. And then there was the shoeboxes on top, which was a wonderful surprise, like getting your party bag at the end of the event. But what really touched me was seeing the leadership and the gifting, and the pastors of the church were stepping back and saying, no, we want the young people to lead. And I was thrilled to see that. And then when you speak to these young people, they said, oh yes, a few years ago we received a shoebox. We were so blessed by that we wanted to be part of this ministry. We wanted to have the privilege to bring joy to the children, but not just joy, but the opportunity to share the gospel with them. And so that, just a couple of months ago, that energized me again. What a privilege to be among young people whom God is calling into evangelism, calling to share their faith. And there's a story emerging here in the UK of our young people stepping forward into Christian commitment and life and enthusiasm. So it's coming to us too. So when we do Operation Christmas Child here, let's put the young people front and center in our church, collecting boxes, running our packing parties, sharing the vision, because this is a beautiful way. It's a simple project that young people can learn to be leaders, learn to be vision casters and gospel enthusiasts by being involved.
And what an incredible thing to recognise that sitting in my church amongst friends and amongst new friends in the community, as I pack this box, as I pray over it, as I send it off to the collection centre if we're not one, knowing that at some point a child will open this, and then what a legacy that child may in the future become the next church leader, the next enthusiast, the next follower of Jesus that continues in any sphere of life. But what a difference a simple shoebox could make to the life of someone that we may and probably will never meet this side of eternity. Hannah, do you have a story for us?
Yeah, I had to rack my brain to think of one, but mine's going to be more of a local one.
Great.
So one of the privileges that I have here is inviting local primary schools to come into our warehouse space into Coventry, and I invite them in, and they come in their school minibus. They come with their shoe boxes to bring them to the centre. And then we share stories with them about children that have received shoeboxes and the impact that it's had on their lives, a short video. We can then show them around the warehouse, and we can show them the Samaritan's Purse Emergency Field Hospital that's up in our warehouse. And they can just find out more about Samaritan's Purse. And then they get a go at checking some shoeboxes themselves. So I really, really enjoy that part of my job. And then one of the young girls who came in, when they left, this needs to probably be on my CV, but she said as she left, I said, "Have you had a lovely time?" And she said, "This has been the best day of my life." And I thought, do you know what? That kids get an opportunity to bless other kids. They've got that tangible way of sharing Jesus' love to other kids. And I just think that's beautiful. And just to see their smiles when they come in, and, it's just wonderful. That's my little story for you.
And they get to hear about Jesus all in the same process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. And this doesn't have to be I'm just going to do this at a very specific time of the year. I can tell you, my mother-in-law, as she shops across the year, will be on the lookout for good little things, and she collects them and stores them away. So when it comes round to packing her shoeboxes, she's just got a whole plethora of bits that she's picked up across the year, because it helps her spread some of the expense of what that looks like, but it also means that she's not just picking up the first thing. She's considering, how do I serve in the best possible way a child that I will never meet? It's a great way to serve Jesus. So if people want to get involved, they want to know more about Operation Christmas Child, what would they do?
Okay, so our website is brilliant. So it's www.samaritans.purse.org.uk. On there are loads of resources in terms of leaflets, the pre-printed shoeboxes that you mentioned. So we've got those red and green boxes. We call them Go boxes. Do you know why?
No.
No? Well, let me tell you. They're gospel opportunities. So that's why they're called Go Boxes. And you can buy those in bulk off of our website. And then we'd love you to connect with us as regional managers, so we can support you. If you want to be the project leader in your church or in a school or a group, download a video off of our website, show it to your congregation, share the vision with them, explain to them that it's more than just making a child smile at Christmas, and why it's really important, the missional heart behind this project. So share with your congregation and start early. Don't kind of think in October, it's time. Also, if you go onto our website, if you put your postcode in on our website, it will tell you where your nearest drop-off location is. So once you've collected all your shoe boxes, you can find somewhere in your area for you to drop those shoe boxes. If you find that there isn't somewhere in your area, then become a church collection centre yourself, and then you can sort that problem out for us. But there are about 1,000 different drop-off locations in the UK, so there should be somewhere for you.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for your time and for sharing some of the story of what Operation Christmas Child does, but actually the impact that this has for the kingdom, both globally and locally. So if you want to consider, you want to explore more, you want to find out more, you can head to samaritanspurse.org.uk/OCC. I can tell you I've met quite a lot of the team here in the Coventry warehouse. They are very, very, very happy to speak to you. So get in touch with them. If you want to drop them an email, it's occ@samaritanspurse.org.uk as well. But all these details you'll find on our website. You can go back and look at our top tips videos that we've recorded here, so you can get even more of a flavour of what they offer. But thank you both for joining us. And make sure you've liked this, you've shared it with people, subscribe, and make sure you check out the work of Samaritan's Purse and Operation Christmas Child. Thanks for joining us. To find out how we can support your church, head to ruralmissions.org.uk.